Hello, my name is Collection Connoisseur. I collect digital thingamabobs in video games. Today I'm playing Monster Train. This time on Monster Train, we're going back to expert challenges. Last time we won a standard run, no expert challenges. So we're going to go back through. We are going to do them in a different order this time. We're going to start with preloaded, I think. Sure, start with preloaded. So this one we're going to try with Melting Umbra. We've played very, very few with Melting Umbra. In fact, we can do... whoops. Melting, then Umbra. Melting Umbra, we've only really played this one with Primary. So let's try anything else. All cards have one fewer upgrade slot, and cards and reward and unit banners come with a random upgrade for preloaded. So which one would I rather do? I do like my little fade, and then Shade Splitter or Plink means very little difference to me. I guess I'd rather do Shade Splitter with little fade and rather do Plink with Rector Flicker. Let's go little fade. Little fade and Shade Splitter. So Exiled, Primary, Melting Umbra. On the preloaded, let's go. We start with Hallowed Drippings, which is quite interesting because Little Fade, when we bring her back, we could make her die slower, which is interesting. Mind Collapse is a way to get Ember on 0, which I really like. And Subsuming Blade is interesting to get at the very beginning. We're doing Seraph the Temperant, which saps our units. Okay, I don't mind this so far. I want to choose Little Fade's upgrade first. So Firelight, every time Little Fade dies, other things get stronger. Eternal Flame, every time Little Fade dies, she comes back immediately and she comes back stronger. Really like the Eternal Flame. And I think we're going to rely on our champion a little bit more since we can't rely on other things as much because of the one fewer upgrade slot. So yeah, let's do that one. Ooh, Exploding Candle or Cheater's Hand. Exploding Candle sounds really neat. We don't have anything with Burnout yet, but we probably want to get one since we've got Hallowed Drippings and Primitive Molds. We will get ones with Primitive Molds at least. I'm going to take Exploding Candle. Alright, I think that Little Fade wins the first one easily. And the fact that non-boss enemy units enter with Spikes 3 is not a problem at all for Little Fade. We'll just play Little Fade every single turn. So, you are quick and endless. When you die, you get stronger. You're going to die every single turn. We can kill this back unit, which is kind of nice, with the Mind Collapse. The Shade Splitter I'm not sure what to do with, other than put it at the bottom next to this Train Steward, maybe? Sure. We're going to play this Train Steward, we're going to play the Rebel Morsel, we're going to play the Mind Collapse. Okay. We have Little Fade back. Little Fade can kill this one. If we play her and a Train Steward, then the Train Steward kills the Collector. At the bottom, things that are happening are kind of bad, but we actually kind of want that to happen. If we put you in front, you die and this one doesn't die. Okay. But we kind of want things to die because the Exploding Candle works with our Primitive Molds, and we want to Primitive Mold them back so that they can explode, basically. You are almost killing this one. Let's play the Little Fade. Quick and Endless. You die immediately. Good to know. You don't quite kill that one. And then you're dying before you get to do a hit. We don't want to play the Primitive Mold this turn unless we want to play it again later. So play the Shade Splitter. If we play you before the Train Steward, then the Train Steward gets to attack. So that's an option. And this Rebel Morsel will play at the bottom. Alright, so we kill the front one. Now, Little Fade is very nice. We definitely want to play Subsuming Blade this turn. Little Fade will go there and attack once. We will play a Mind Collapse on something. I guess we're going to play a Train Steward up here. We're going to play a Subsuming Blade. Doesn't really matter, as long as it kills one of them. A Mind Collapse kills this one. That means both of you die, which is kind of nice. And the Shade Splitter... Shade Splitter is interesting. If we put it here, then Little Fade gets more health, which is actually really good. Oh, Little Fade actually just wins now. Okay. How about that? Yeah, that went absolutely great. Wicklash. Wicklash applies 10 attack and burnout. Molded can reform the unit that we want to mold, although I don't know that we really need that. Purifying Cleanse, I don't really think we need that. If I'm taking anything, I'm taking the Wicklash, and I think it's worth taking. Though we can never make it cost less, because we don't get another upgrade slot. Let's take it anyway. So the Morsel Miner is pretty good, especially with the Emberstone on it. The Perils of Production is pretty nice. Perils of Production is pretty nice. We can always put it on Shade Splitter or Little Fade if those are dying. And the double stack means that we get more Rage and more Ember Drain. Don't know if I like that aspect of it. The more Rage is nice, but the more Ember Drain is bad. And it takes away from one of the Ember that we would be getting from Perils of Production. I think I want the Morsel Mining. So, we kind of want to go to the right because of the Remnant unit and all of the things that we have that would probably work really well if we had Burnout units. So I'm going to go this way. Let's peek in here. Eternal Stone could go on Hallowed Drippings. Actually might not be too bad. Surge Stone could go only on Mind Collapse, don't like that. Ember Stone could go on a Primitive Mold, or a Shade Splitter. Both of those are kind of nice. So we probably do a couple of those. Let's look at the Remnant unit first. A large stone on a Paraffin Thug. How weird. The Lady of the Reformed is kind of nice, with the burnout things that we have. It doesn't really help with Exploding Candle that much, but it helps otherwise. I don't mind the Heartstone. If anything, we could always sacrifice the Lady of the Reformed if we wanted to. I don't think we really want the Paraffin Thug. So let's take a Lady of the Reformed. Let's take the Divine Horde. Ho-ho, Guild Marker. Guild Marker is really nice this early. Let's take that. And now everything is cheaper here. The only thing that we wanted here was the Ember Stone. We'll take that. Don't know whether to put it on Primitive Mold or Shade Splitter right now. I'm going to put it on a Shade Splitter. And then reroll. Another double stack. You know, it's not what I want. Another Surge Stone is not what I want. An Ember Stone is fine. We'll put it on a primitive mold this time. Alright, well, that ended up not being so great. Let's purge a Train Steward. And then move on. We spent 50 money and got very little out of re-rolling. Enemy units enter with armor 10. How bad is that? It really messes up the Mine Collapse. The Subsuming Blade is fine with it. Don't know if I want that or not. We get a unit draft out of it? Let's not. Just click fight. Lady of the Reformed. We want to place that down here. And we want to place Little Fade in front of you, so that Little Fade does some damage and dies. We need Little Fade to die a lot. Shade Splitter will play, of course, and the other Shade Splitter will play, of course. We can play Hallowed Drippings now to make the Lady of the Reformed just survive a lot longer. I don't mind that. And then she'll have a Rebel Morsel and a Magma Morsel. Or a Morsel Jeweler, I mean. We are going to get a lot of those, the Sinner's Burdens. Because it's not like we have much to stop getting Sinner's Burdens. Yeah. The Mine Collapses are what we need, but we're not going to get them very often. Making of a Morsel is going to go on you. So 2 more Sinner's Burdens, and we're drawing Little Fade, so we only drew 2 cards that were new to us. Well, the Subsuming Blade we should definitely play. I want Little Fade to die this turn, and the only way that happens is if we play Little Fade here. But if we do that, this one hits our Pyre. We're going to play Subsuming Blade, definitely. And if we are, it doesn't kill this one, so we're not going to do that. I want Little Fade to die. So I think what we're going to do is play Subsuming Blade here. Take the 2 damage on our Pyre, most likely. Let's play the Shade Splitter. Yep, we're going to take the 2 damage. And we're going to play Little Fade here, so it kills one and dies. So we took 2 damage. We have a Mine Collapse. That's nice. We also have a Little Fade that could kill this one. If we play the Little Fade at the bottom, we don't get to just kill. We don't even have something that died. Right. We don't have anything that dies, really. The Little Fade could go behind you and probably just win. Let's just do that. Little Fade goes behind and wins. Then we don't need to worry about you two. Alright. Done. Win. Two damage taken. The quick is completely pointless here, but I really like the stealth 2, I think. I really like the stealth 2. I'm gonna take it. The quick, the speed stone is the worst stone on it, though. Alright, the Prismal Dust is not bad, because we can just continue to apply a damage shield. The Immortal Trade is pretty pointless with what we have so far, but it has a freeze stone, which is kind of nice. I think I'm going to take that, but I don't know if I feel good about it yet. We're going to find out later. The Merchant of Steel basically does nothing, because we always get units with things in them, right? So we're going to go this way. And peek in here first. Big Sludge? Yes. We definitely want Big Sludge. And the harvest? The harvest can happen because Little Fade dies in front of him. I like that. If we sacrifice the Lady of the Reformed, then you get more health, but you get burnout. I don't know how much I want you to have burnout, but I don't think it's too bad for you to have burnout. We're gonna have to think about that, though. Concealed Caverns, what do you have? A Fissure. We could copy a card 5 times. What absolute nonsense would we want to do with that? We could get a ton of Whiplashes. That seems a little bit pointless. We could copy Big Sludge, but I don't know if we want to copy Big Sludge. We could copy a Mortal Trade, but again, do we want to? We could copy the Mortal Encasement, or the Molten Encasement. I think what I want to do most here is just copy the Making of a Morsel. Just a very simple copy. And then Lost Luggage or Boon of the Blacksmith. I have no idea. I guess Lost Luggage because we took Big Sludge. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna take Lost Luggage. And maybe it will do something for me. Friendly units enter with Sap 1, and Talos attacks every turn and applies Dazed on strike. Don't like the Dazed at all. Alright, so Big Sludge definitely goes at the bottom with a Little Fade in front. Definitely. We could even put the Molten Encasement so that Big Sludge gets Stealth. I like that a lot. So the Big Sludge goes here. The Little Fade goes in the very front. And then the Molten Encasement goes here. That way, those two die and you get Stealth. And I could have had more Ember if I had played my Mind Collapse. Should have done that. Morsel Miner, if we put it in the center, it just dies. I guess we're going to do that anyway. Should have played the Mind Collapse when I could have killed one of those with it. Really should have thought that through. Our Big Sludge is already big. Already big. So, we are going to do a Primitive Mold to get back the Molten Encasement. We could actually Primitive Mold to get back a Morsel Miner. I mean, why not, right? Little Fade doesn't die unless we put her in front at the bottom, or at the top for that matter. I want to kill you, but I don't know how much I care about killing you. We'll get something. So, we're going to play a Molten Encasement at the bottom, so that it dies. We're going to play... We could play the Whiplash on you. I don't know if I actually want to do that, though. Let's do Primitive Mold, get back a Morsel Miner, and then put it in back so it gets eaten. And then Little Fade does not die unless we put her at the top. So, we'll have her die. Do I want to play Whiplash on Little Fade? You know, I will. I don't know if you keep the burnout. I think you do keep the attack. So it had 28 attack. Let's see if she keeps burnout. I think the answer is no. You do not keep burnout. You also didn't keep the attack. Okay, so we didn't get any of those. Interesting. We've got the Mind Collapse, so that can be useful. We'll play a Little Fade down here. We'll play a Primitive Mold to get back Molten Encasement. How much do we really need that? We don't really need that. Is it still good to get? Sure. Sure. Just means that we're not going to be using the Shade Splitter at all. Because there's no reason to use the Shade Splitter. I mean, we'll still play it, and we'll put it in the center, but we probably will not use it at all. We got Subsuming Blade, we should always play that if we can. So Little Fade is going to go at the bottom, so that she dies, and you get more rage. Subsuming Blade is going to kill one of these, and then let's put a Train Steward in the center. Because what else are we going to do with a Train Steward? You don't die at the bottom anymore. In that case, let's put you in the center. And then nobody has Burnout. Still nobody has Burnout. Let's just win next turn. We very, very easily win next turn. Okay. Crushed. I like this deck so far. Devourer of Death. The Extinguish effect deals damage to enemy units. What if we got that and we sacrificed the Molten Encasement to it? Because it might harvest sometimes. I don't want to do Hallowed Halls. The Forever Consumed is not bad, but I'm very interested in this Devourer of Death, actually. Let's take it. Now I'm thinking about something that we could sacrifice to Big Sludge. That's what I'm mostly thinking about here. We could sacrifice the Crucible Collector, but it's not the best. Everything else seems kind of pointless. And we're going to go to an Umbra banner. So let's figure it out next ring. Now this is a hard decision. We always want Herzl's Compound, but Light of Seraph works really well when we've got, you know, morsels everywhere, and Fel's Remorse actually works really well with Lost Luggage, for example, and we can't really add Emberstones to everything like we could before. I think I still start with Herzl's Compound. Now we are going to go this way. We're going to remove 2 Train Stewards. Get those out of the deck real fast. We are going to peek in here. Stack Stone, Power Stone, Emberstone. I mean, the Emberstone is fine. Twin Stone and True Stone. The True Stone is really easy. True Stone we definitely put on Mind Collapse. That helps. Twin Stone... Twin Stone we don't really want. And then we are going to engage Pact, we just don't know what yet. Alright. Umbra unit. Oh, the Shadow Siege? Well, the Shadow Siege could be sacrificed to our Big Sludge. It would make the Big Sludge take up 5 space, which is a little bit of a problem. It is a little bit of a problem because we cannot feed it morsels or make it stealthy, or put Little Fade in front of it. But it's also a good thing. Let's take the Shadow Siege. Alright, we have to sacrifice the Shadow Siege first because we're not going to be able to play the Shadow Siege otherwise. So sacrifice the Shadow Siege to my Big Sludge. Now the important thing here is we absolutely need space so we could play Molten Encasement in front of Big Sludge in the future. But until then, our Big Sludge is just a Big Sludge that does lots of things. It doesn't get as many harvest effects. Stack stone is worthless. Let's take the Ember stone, put it on a primitive mold, guess? I'm gonna do that. We're not gonna keep all of these primitive molds, but we're gonna keep a few. Permafrost. I don't want it. Power Stone could go on this Mind Collapse. I'm gonna do that. And then the Ember Stone could go on a Shade Splitter if we're going to keep a couple of Shade Splitters. We're gonna do that, but I'm not happy about it. The champion upgrade is easy. We want more Eternal Flame. Because once you have some Eternal Flame, more is just better. Okay, well, it's going okay. Non-boss enemy units get more attack. Don't mind. We sort of want our guys to die. Sort of. So the big sludge could go at the bottom and just kill everything real fast. The little fade can't die if we do that. We kind of want the big sludge at the bottom, though. This is a little bit of a problem, because little fade doesn't do much if it doesn't die. And you might die because you're not quick or anything. I guess we're gonna put you on the top floor for later. And we're gonna have Little Fade kill some things. I mean, Little Fade is gonna die, of course, but Little Fade is also gonna kill some things eventually. The Devourer of Death probably goes down here. Maybe behind a Lady of the Reformed? Maybe in front of a Lady of the Reformed? If in front, then you just die? I don't know. What we're going to do is we're going to play the Lady of the Reformed right here. We can't play the Devourer of Death anyway when we do that. Alright, that makes it easier. Shade Splitter is going to go here. Primitive Mold doesn't get played. And then the Mind Collapse can just deal 10 damage. Okay. I think that was a bad first turn, basically. Basically a bad first turn. You get to kill something, huzzah. Wicklash. Wicklash we could put on you. I like that. Let's play Little Fade. Little Fade will kill a thing. And then the Wicklash goes on you to give you more attack and some more burnout. And then where do we put the Molten Encasement? We want it to die, but do we want all of your burnout to go? I guess we do because we've got Hallowed Drippings to do somewhere. I mean, it doesn't die yet, is the thing. So, the Mind Collapse can kill this one. Hallowed Drippings is going to go at the bottom. We're going to play Little Fade at the bottom. You're taking 28 damage, which is kind of scary. And you're going to take more. See, this one's not going so well because we are not playing it the way that we really want to play it. Because we don't have space to play it the way we want to play it. Let's play the Mind Collapse now, and then we can play the Train Steward in the center. And then we can Primitive Mold, nothing, but we can Hallowed Drippings at the bottom to give you more burnout. You are taking some damage but killing things. Little Fade can go in the center and die. I think that's okay. We do want to kill one of these things in the center. It's just that, you know, the problem with our deck is really showing itself right now. Alright. Where do we put the morsels? If we put them at the bottom, things just die? They all just die? Is that true? I think it is true. We can always play the Immortal Trade on you before you would die. Are you going to die next turn? The answer is no, not next turn. But we should probably play it on you next turn. These, I don't know what to do with these. They just all die. They make our primitive molds worse, because I played those. Okay, maybe we should not have played those. Subsuming Blade we should play. Yeah, this is a good time for you to get the Immortal Trade. So you gain health. Little Fade can kill this one. Still seems like a good idea. Actually, Subsuming Blade should kill that one. Little Fade kills this one. I also like that plan. And Little Fade still dies, which is important. And then Making of a Morsel, Shade Splitter. And those are the three that go down here. Okay. Great. Our one at the top, our Big Sludge, is great. He just needs more space next to him. So, we can do a Primitive Mold. We should play Primitive Mold, it might not do much, but we should play it. And then Shade Splitters seem kind of weird. Another Primitive Mold seems fine, in hopes. You know, that was hopes, I guess. Let's play Little Fade at the back. And then we're winning. Oh, we're already winning. Great. Little Fade just wins sometimes. We got the trial bonus. A Subsuming Blade is not great. Do we want resin removal? What debuff effect stacks do we get? I don't know. None, maybe? I don't think we should take that. I think we take none of these. Excavation Eruption seems good. Also, Ember Cache seems good. Crucible Extension. We want that. If it had a Seek Stone, I might like it more. Maybe? We probably should go right. Yeah, we should probably go right. We can't use the Merchant of Steel effectively. So I'm thinking about Merchant of Magic, but I want to remove more cards, and I think that's more important right now. So remove more cards, go to a Concealed Caverns. Value Stone we could play on Subsuming Blade if we wanted. We could play a Seek Stone. Value Stone on Subsuming Blade? I mean, it makes it better, definitely. And we do actually need to get more pack shards eventually. I think we will have no problem with that, though. Merchant of Steel can't do anything, except for the Train Steward. We don't want that. So, Concealed Caverns. What do you have for me this time? I fear much. I don't know about this. Get a Strength Stone? I mean, it's definitely worthwhile. Bone Rattler I don't care about. Bone Shine I don't care about. Let's get a Strength Stone. We could put it on Big Sludge. I think we should. Big Sludge is stronger from the beginning. And then remove Train Stewards? A Train Steward and a Shade Splitter, because those are kind of bad. Also, the Primitive Molds are kind of bad. I think I am going to put the Value Stone on Subsuming Blade. The Seek Stone, I can't imagine why we would want that. So the Engage Pact. Engage Pact, we could sacrifice the Molten Encasement to the Devourer of Death, which gives us a reason to have the Molten Encasement, or to play the Devourer of Death all the time. And I do like that. I think the Lady of the Reformed turned out to be not what we needed, for the most part. But she's still there. Let's move on. Could have removed a card from my deck, I guess, at the Merchant of Steel. Did not really think about it. I do not like the Silent Marksmans. They're not fun. Ooh. They're not great for the deck that we have. They're okay if we get the Devourer of Death out and then we primitive mold it. Then we can kill all of those easily with our exploding candle. But not if we turn on the armor emblem, so we won't. Certainly we don't want you at the bottom. So what do we want? We can play the Crucible Extension. Huzzah. Play the Crucible Extension at the top. That way we could put Big Sludge and something else up there like Little Fade. We want Little Fade to die this turn though. So we're going to play the Big Sludge. We're going to play a Making of a Morsel to put up there. And then Little Fade is just going to die at the bottom. No reason to play any of those things that cost 0. Oh boy, that's why we want to remove some of the cards from the deck. This one is quite nice. It could kill you right now, and I like that. Kill you right now. Play Little Fade in the center. Play Lady of the Reformed in the center, because what else are we going to do with her? And then nothing to reform yet. So, wait on that. This can kill you even if we spend 1 Ember first, which we don't really need to spend. Subsuming Blade could kill you. It could also kill this one, which seems kind of nice. Maybe we play Subsuming Blade to kill this one, the Mind Collapse to kill this one, and have Little Fade deal you some damage. I kind of like that, and I kind of don't care about that. Like, what happens if this one goes up the train? Very little. So let's play the Little Fade in the center, like we normally would. Let's play the Subsuming Blade here to kill this one. Let's play a Mind Collapse to kill this one. Let's play Hallowed Drippings here so that you get more burnout, I guess. For whatever value that has. And end turn. So, you could go at the top or the bottom. I kind of want to put Little Fade at the top, though. Little Fade goes at the top, they both die, Little Fade dies. You could go at the bottom and explode. No, you don't explode because you don't have any burnout yet. But we could have you have burnout by putting you at the bottom first. Oh, actually... Oh, I just realized that Shade Splitters are excellent. The Rubble Morsel can go in front of you, and then you deal damage. Oh, interesting combination. Okay, that's all we play? All we play. It did mean that back one harvested a lot more, but I don't think we care about that back one. We could even kill him right now by playing Little Fade there. But then we can't really take out our Little Fade. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to play Morsels. And a Primitive Mold. Primitive Mold gets back a Morsel. Alright, not what I was expecting. I was expecting that, but I did actually have a morsel that could come back. So what do? We play Little Fade at the bottom. We play all of these other things that can give us morsels. We play the Mind Collapse on the one guy that we can hit. Now, which morsels do we want where? I want you to have this one. Or Little Fade could have this one, actually. Yeah. Because you having extra health stays. That stays when you have Endless. Haven't figured out all the things that stay when you have Endless, but if you change the health, it does stay. Shade Splitter? Primitive Mold? Primitive Mold is good. We can get back Devourer of Death. And then we can do the Devourer of Death here with a Shade Splitter morsel in front of it. Or two. So these two go here. Devourer of Death goes here. It ends up burning out. Well, I think it dies before it burns out. Oh, the sweep. The sweep actually kind of defeated most of that. But it does mean that you explode. Because of Exploding Candle, at least. Primitive Mole doesn't do anything, so let's just click Enter. So now, if we play a Primitive Mold this turn, we get a Morsel Excavator, which is not, by the way, the Devourer of Death, which I wanted to get. Too bad. We can play a Wicklash. We can play Little Fade. We should play Little Fade. Wick and Endless does damage. We should play the Crucible Extension. We should play the Morsel Excavator somewhere. Best to play it up here. And then Subsuming Blade deals damage to the boss, or it could kill Little Fade if we feel very confident. I mean, there's no reason to do that. Little Fade is already dying. I mean, the reason to do it was to get the permanent effect. We could have killed the Morsel and got that permanent effect. Subsuming Blade is back. And we're already winning. So we should play a Making of a Morsel, play it, and upgrade our Subsuming Blade. Okay. And then we can just win. A Fatal Melting. Has holdover, deals damage based on how many things died. Memento Mori is the same. But it's only the front unit. Votivary has Endless and has a large stone in it. What weird nonsense. Why would we want Votivary? I fail to see a good reason, because we don't have something to sacrifice it to that we would want to sacrifice it to. But it's really interesting to see a Votivary with a large stone. Fatal Melting. Do we want it? It gets good, but before it gets good, what does it do? I think I will take it, but I don't feel like it's a great one. Furnace Tap, I don't think we can take. As much as I would like to take it, I don't think we can do that. Cannibalize is not bad. Ember Cache is not bad. I think I want Ember Cache. So, there's a Merchant of Steel that does nothing, but we can remove cards. I think we want to go this way. Part of the reason I'm going this way is because maybe there'll be a Concealed Caverns event that gives me a card that I haven't mastered. We can hope. Keepstone. Keepstone is not great because we can't add it to anything that we've already upgraded. Emberstone. I want to remove those more than add Emberstones to them. Power Stone can go on nothing. Okay, let's consider if there's anything here that we would want to change. I think the answer is no, except for maybe Emberstones. So we might just remove a card. There. Value Stone goes on nothing. Seek Stone goes on nothing. We can do an Engage Pact, but we don't have anything to synthesize. So the real question is, how are we getting our pack shards? There, that's how we're getting our pack shards. Alright, let's see what the Concealed Caverns give us. Because everything else was kind of a bust. Ooh. Is this... Yes, it is. Right? Oh, no, it's not. I'm thinking of a different one that I think might have the same picture. So, the one that we're actually working with. Ember Stasis we don't want. We don't really want the extra dead weights. And we don't really want that one. I think we just leave. Penance Yard was definitely not what we wanted. There is no more Concealed Caverns. So the chances of us mastering a card are getting really, really slim. Yeah, because I think we've mastered all of the Melting and Umbra cards. I think so. So we can't master anything this time. In that case, we're doing nothing except purging. In this one. We're going to purge one thing. Primitive Mold or Shade Splitter? Shade Splitter. And then we move on. And be sad that we can't make our deck better much anymore. I don't like the Blinding Dark Shard. The Blinding Dark Shard is really bad with Little Fade dying every turn. Okay, that's not fun. We don't have a way to add a space this turn. We're going to play the Big Sludge at the top. Big Sludge at the top. We'll eventually have a way to add space for you. Little Fade is going to go at the bottom and die. Your first death. We're going to play the Ember Cache. We're going to play the Lady of the Reformed down here too. We could put her in the center. Let's put her in the center. So she's going in the center. We Mind Collapse one of these. We play Morsels. Making of a Morsel, Shade Splitter. Primitive Mold does nothing yet, of course. We can play the Hallowed Drippings right now if we wanted to. Hallowed Drippings ended up being kind of pointless. And then 2 Morsels for you. Okay, that's what we do the first turn. We don't want to play spells at the top. That seems fine, actually. We want to play Little Fade. You getting to the top is annoying, but it's not that bad. Hallowed Drippings can go here. The Wicklash could go here too, except then we couldn't play you, and I do want to play you. Let's play you down here with a Little Fade in front. There we go. Primitive Mold gets back nothing, but it will after Devourer of Death dies. So, Blinding Dark Shard at the bottom is annoying. I'd rather do Little Fade in the center, have her die there. We still have not drawn our thing that gives us more space, sadly. A Fatal Melting does 9 damage to everything. Interesting. And then a Mind Collapse could kill something. It could kill you, actually. So let's do a Fatal Melting down here. And then play a Mind Collapse on this one. Then we can play a Shade Splitter and put it in the center. Let's not play the Shade Splitter down there, though. We could play the Primitive Mold, actually, to get back you. We sort of want you to die. Well, you have Burnout 1, so you're going to die. Do we want you to add stuff to you? I guess so. So you're going to add Stealth to the Lady of the Reformed, for some reason. The Rebel Morsel, I actually wish we didn't have in the deck now. So, Little Fade can go in the center and kill you, but then Little Fade doesn't die. And we want Little Fade to die, so we're going to put her here. We can finally play the Crucible Extension. We could play the Fatal Melting, but it has holdover and we don't want it that much. We can play Primitive Mold, which is kind of nice. So the Morsel Miner goes here to get eaten. You are going to go at the bottom behind Little Fade? Sure. And then we don't play Fatal Melton because we don't want to draw it next turn. Ooh, I don't like the Blinding Dark Shard up there. Guess that means we're not going to play Little Fade up there. Little Fade doesn't kill you, but does do a lot of damage to you. I like that. Subsuming Blade, we could play at the bottom to kill this one. Make Subsuming Blade better. We should play Excavated Ember first. And we can fit the morsels, so we should actually play these. If we couldn't fit them, we shouldn't, though. And then where do we put the morsels? The Morsel Miner goes up here. A Morsel Miner goes here. And then the Rubble Morsel, unfortunately... Well, actually, it doesn't die if we play it here. Okay. I don't want it to die, because I want our Consume pile to have just you, if possible. So we want our morsels to be eaten, not just die, for the most part. The Rubble Morsel doesn't die because it has Stealth. Right, that happens too. Little Fade, if she goes at the top, she doesn't die. If we play a Primitive Mold and put this one at the top, it also doesn't die. But it will die eventually. And eventually is probably good enough. Little Fade doesn't die no matter where we put her. Does that mean we play Little Fade at the top? I think it does. I'm not sure. To save 11 health? No, let's save health from the Lady of the Reformed, for whatever reason we do that. And then Mind Collapse could not go here, could go anywhere. We play a Shade Splitter, we play the Primitive Mold. So, you're back. We could play you at the top. You'd eventually die. We played you at the top. And I think that's good enough for me. Eventually die. And then Mind Collapse is just to deal damage. Not to get Ember. Because we don't need the Ember. And then Rubble Morsel here. We're doing something. We have a Fatal Melting, which does 24 damage now. This is the problem with Fatal Melting, I guess. It goes up based on how many guys die, but even if you have a lot of guys that die, it doesn't go up that fast. Primitive Mold gets back nothing. Right. The Crucible extension definitely goes at the top, and we can play a Shade Splitter, and then we've got 2 morsels. One of them is going to go here. That makes you bigger. Interesting. And then one of the morsels goes here. And then we just do nothing else. We don't want to play a Fatal Melting, really. Little Fade goes at the bottom to do some damage. Wicklash can go in the center. Primitive Molds get back 1 thing. It's a Rubble Morsel. Huzzah! Rubble Morsel. You can go at the top. Wicklash? Wicklash, what do we even do? I guess we do that for you. And then the Primitive Molds do nothing. We need to really remove some of these Primitive Molds. Subsuming Blade does not kill you. It could kill a morsel, though. We could play a couple of morsels, play Little Fade right here, which does a lot of damage. Play a morsel here. Actually, let's play it up here so that when we do it, you get the rage. And then we can't play a morsel up there because you're stealth and the morsel would not be stealth. So let's play the Rubble Morsel down here. Alright, and then we should be crushing at the top, honestly. I mean, once we play Little Fade, that is. Little Fade, now we crush at the top. Our front one dies. But we could Primitive Mold, hopefully getting this. But we've got 2 other things. Yeah, you know, we don't have much else that we can do to make it better. Sacrificial Resurrection. We're going against Seraph the Temperant. It's not the one that I want Sacrificial Resurrection for. We could take Blazing Bolts. Or we could take Umbra Stone. I think if we give Trample to Little Fade, it doesn't last. But we could give Trample to our top Big Sludge, which would be good. And I think we take the Light of Seraph, because we want to be able to... We want the extra space the most, I think. Although I do want extra cards and extra Ember too, to be perfectly honest. The Merchant of Trinkets seems like the best plan. It also gives us a chance to go to a Concealed Caverns, which probably doesn't have anything that we could actually master anymore. I don't think there's anything in the 7th ring that would give us something that we could master. Hammered Chestplates gives friendly units plus 5 health. That's both good and bad for Little Fade. I think we re-roll those. And then let's upgrade the champion, because we know this upgrade. We certainly want Eternal Flame 3. Next. Concealed Caverns next. Is there a card I have not Divinity Mastered that could possibly appear here? I mean, probably not, but we didn't get it either way. Even if it could. Damage, heal, or buff? Most likely we want buff. We have some things that can kill small things, like a Fatal Melting, Mind Collapses, and the Subsuming Blade. Let's take a buff. Oh, that's interesting. Is that helpful or just interesting? If we want to do a buff, we could push the thing that we buff backward? Oh man, the descend or ascend is probably not what we want. I'm gonna do backward. We're pushing some unit of ours backward. Oh, it's not. Oh, all right. I was really, of course, hoping for the one that says add space, but I guess card draw is the one that we take because we can't really use money past now. Sure. I don't particularly like that old magic, but I still think it's better than not taking it. Not completely sure on that. Let's re-roll here. Spells get an extra upgrade slot. Ooh, Mind Jacks. Mind Jacks is nice. Mind Jacks is nice. We do have one more chance. And the Merchant of Magic is over there. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna take the spells get an extra upgrade slot. Because I think that's nice. And we might take Mind Jacks. It might depend on this, though. Ooh, Mask of Penumbra draws cards. Let's take it. And then I think we do take Mind Jacks. Okay. I like those decisions. That, I think, was a good ring for us. Enemy units appear on every floor at the beginning. How bad is that? It does not seem that bad. Does not seem that bad. It mainly acts like it just makes my big sludge better faster. Now then. We didn't get big sludge in the first turn, though. That's unfortunate. But we can play Little Fade at the top, and it will die. And kill a thing up there. That's not bad. We can play a Lady of the Reformed. We don't want to play it at the top. But we could play it in the center, like we normally do. I'm thinking whether we want the big sludge in the center. I think the answer is still no. So I'm going to do the Lady of the Reformed in the center. You kill a thing. We're also going to play Hallowed Drippings, because you're the only one that benefits from that. We're going to play Ember Cache. We're going to play a Wicklash to help you out slightly. Then we're going to play a Mind Collapse. Oh, that kills my Little Fade. Darn. We probably don't want to do that. Up here now. Which is unfortunate, because that means we're going to take damage on our fire. How bad is taking damage on our fire? It's not that bad. Mind Collapse kills one of these. Then we play the Shade Splitter. Honestly, we should have played this a while ago, because it draws us a card. Ooh, it got another Mind Collapse. This one kills another one. I'm going to play one in the bottom this time. And then Old Magic. Alright, well, we're getting 20 damage because I turned on the trial. And that's kind of significant. So there's our big sludge. We can play that. We want to play Little Fade first so that it dies. Yes, we want to play the Little Fade first so that you die. And then the big sludge. And then we can play the Shade Splitter. And we should play a Shade Splitter here, which draws us a card. We give you a lot more health if we put the Shade Splitter here than if we put it in the back. It becomes something that has died, which is unfortunate, but we take it. Let's play the Hallowed Drippings. We could play a Fatal Melting at the top right now. that deals you 5 less damage. We could also play it at the bottom. Or we could play the Umbra Stone. I think the Umbra Stone is pretty nice to play. And then we're done. I don't know how long the Lady of the Reformed is going to last. Crucible Extension, we still want to play that at the top. Little Fade can go up here and die again, like she does. I want to kill you. I also want to play Making of a Morsel, because the Making of a Morsel, when we play it, draws a card. We got the Devourer of Death, which we could play in the center. Huzzah. We play that first. Play the Devourer of Death. Play a Morsel Minor, so that we definitely get the Morsel Minor. Play the Primitive Mold, because that will get another morsel that we're now definitely going to eat. And then the Subsuming Blade kills you, which kills my guy, which kills that guy. And then the Morsel Minor dies. Whoops. I needed to play these in a different order. Whoops. Oh, you didn't die because you got so much armor. Oh. Wait a minute. You didn't explode? So even though I killed that one first, because you died at the same time, quotes, you didn't explode. How sad. At least we still eat those. We continue to play Little Fade at the top. Little Fade at the top is good. Let's play the Primitive Mold and the Shade Splitter. Shade Splitter, we want to play the Rebel Morsel anywhere. We don't want to play it at the top, actually. I guess we'll play a Rebel Morsel here. It's going to die, though. But it draws us a card. That might make it better. Alright, Primitive Mold. Devourer of Death. We don't need to play that at the top. I was thinking about playing at the top, but we don't need to. We could play it in the center, and it would still be good. And then we can play Making of a Morsel and play the Morsel at the top. Okay, I like that. Now, you have Burnout 1. Currently, you just die. Why do you get so much damage? Because of them exploding. Right. If we kill this one dies early, which means you're going to take some more damage, maybe? Seems like you take the same amount of damage. So I'm going to kill things at the bottom instead. Particularly, let's see here, what do we have with Primitive Molds? Nothing. Particularly you. Okay. Our big sludge is getting big this time. I do like to see him get big. Ooh, Endless! Endless returns the card to the top of the draw pile, by the way. Which means if we could kill it on the same turn, we could redraw it with the Mask of Penumbra. We should remember that. It's not going to make a difference now. Also, you don't die if we put you at the top, which is not good. We want you to die. Sort of want to play you at the bottom, because this is bad. Let's do that. A Fatal Melting could actually deal a lot of damage. Let's do a Fatal Melting in the center. Let's play the Excavated Ember. Subsuming Blade. How excellent. We want to play that on one of these. Maybe you. Great. And then a Mind Collapse on one of the other ones. And then Whiplash on you again. Give you more burnout, which we may or may not use. A brief respite. Well, Little Fade crushes in the center, but does not die in the center. Let's play the Shade Splitter first. Shade Splitter will draw us a card. Sure. We got a Primitive Mold, which we can play to get the Devourer of Death back, which does have Burnout 1, which is nice, because we could play it at the top, it'll burn out, and then this one will get the Harvest effect. Oh, it has Burnout 2 now. Whoops. Right. We just got Ember Drain for somewhat no reason. No reason, Ember Drain. I've got to play Little Fade at the bottom at this point. And then the old magic can go at the top? Sure. So Little Fade is at the bottom. A Fatal Melting can kill those two really fast. We should probably do that, especially because we've got Excavated Embers to get the Ember back. So a Fatal Melting. Now you actually deal your damage. Primitive Mold gets back an Umbra morsel, which we will have be eaten this time. And then we've got Making of a Morsel and Shade Splitter and another Shade Splitter. We can play all of those things. We can even do the Crucible extension so that it affects the top guy. So you get this. You getting a Morsel Jeweler is nice. And then you'll get the Rebel Morsel. We could play a Mind Collapse up here, but I don't see the point. Everything's dying the way that we want them to. So let's play it down here, just to deal some damage. Little Fade certainly goes here. The fact that you have Trample kind of takes away some of the effect of Little Fade going here. It really does. But if we play Primitive Mold, we get back the one thing that we want. Let's play Primitive Mold. So this goes in front. You go in front. And then we play Little Fade behind. And does Little Fade still die quickly? The answer is yes. Well, not quickly, but during the first attack. No, Little Fade doesn't die in the first attack? Oh no, she does. It's just she deals her damage first. Right. Well, that's unfortunate, because we can't really cause you guys to survive this first attack. We can deal damage with a Fatal Melting, or we could guarantee get a Primitive Mold next turn, which seems better. I don't see the point of Whiplash except to add more damage right now. We can play a Shade Splitter. Let's play the Shade Splitter and the Umbra Morsel. If we played the Umbra Morsel here, would you have survived? Was that a mistake? Because 20, 30, 49 plus 6, you would have survived and dealt the damage a second time, yeah. Whoops. Oh well. Fatal Melting. We can play that, actually. No, because Little Fade has Endless. Let's be safe. Now, we're already winning. We can even play Immortal Trade to win better. But we can play Little Fade and play Subsuming Blade to make Subsuming Blade better, which is useful. Alright, we got a lot of money to spend. I like that. Crushing Demise. Crushing Demise, I kind of can't not take that. It's just too good in so many circumstances. Gem Trove, we don't want. Grovel. Grovel's not bad. It just costs 3 to play. But the damage shield too is kind of nice. The Void Binding doesn't really work when we can't get Ember on 0, because the fact that it has holdover is ruined by the Ember Train. So I think we take Grovel or nothing. I'm sort of thinking nothing, though. Though Grovel would be nice. Because of the damage shield, but it costs 3. Let's not take it. So, we're gonna go this way, so that we get another chance for a Merchant of Magic. That's why we got the Lightstone Casing. Forgotten Boons. Merchant of Magic has Eternal Stone, which we could put on Ember Cache, which is kind of nice, actually. We might do that. Surge Stone we don't want. Ember Stone we do want. Could go on Crucible Extension. We always want to play it. Could go on Old Magic. Kind of like it on Crucible Extension. But let's think more about that when we look at the other two. Value Stone and Seek Stone. So Seek Stone could go on Crucible Extension, and that's probably better. That's probably better. How about the Value Stone? Value Stone could go on Wicklash, or it could go on the Fatal Melting that has holdover, which probably is a good plan. And then Merchant of Trinkets. Morsel units enter with damage shield 1. Huzzah! That's nice. The other two are kind of pointless, though. So we're going to take this and we're going to reroll. Hell's Banners. Hell's Banners plus Abandon Ant Umbra plus Mask of Penumbra plus Wing Technology. That is so good. Oh my. I think we want both of those. We're going to spend a lot of money here. Alright. Well, we spent a lot of money there. Let's remove some things now. We want to remove primitive molds. They're often pointless. We don't want to remove all of them, but we have 5. And the Shade Splitters are now much better. So I'm going to remove 2 primitive molds. Or we could remove a primitive mold and one of these cards that I've said is pointless. Hello Dripping seems kind of pointless, but it consumes itself. I don't know. The Wicklash we could remove. It hasn't been terrible. Let's remove a primitive mold. Or we could remove this Shade Splitter because we have... No, let's remove the primitive mold. I waffled many times there. I don't know how well that came across. We are going to do this. We are going to do this. Intrinsic is really nice on that one. If we play the reroll, we could get something other than Eternal Stone. Eternal Stone on Ember Cache is nice, but is it nicer than a reroll and hopefully get something else? I think the answer is no. Let's reroll. Double stack. That is worse. Whoops. Alright, let's purge a card. This time I'm going to purge a Shade Splitter. And then Power Stone. Power Stone on Subsuming Blade. I guess. And then we don't really care about Emberstone anymore now that we have Hell's Banners. We've done everything that we can do. Let's move on. Final Gauntlet. I feel pretty good about this one. Honestly, I feel pretty good about it. So, we couldn't get the Abandoned Aunt Umbra the first turn because we drew 10 cards. But that shouldn't be a problem later. We are having trouble with Ember a little bit, but we have Mind Collapse, which helps. So let's start, I guess, somehow. Let's play the Shade Splitter and play a Morsel Jeweler at the top. That draws us a card. We can just play that immediately. We can play the big sludge up here. That's important to do early. Now we've got more Ember. We can play the Lady of the Reformed in the center. Seems like she's just gonna die pretty fast, but, you know, we'll do it. We can do Old Magic. Old Magic on you is nice. We definitely play the Crucible Extension. We play the Little Fade at the bottom. The fact that you are going to harvest is unfortunate. But we are going to have you harvest. Little Fade, you have no attack. You just die. You sapped my unit. Really don't like you sapping that top unit. Oh, these are damage shields. I thought they were spell shields. We definitely play Crushing Demise. If we play Little Fade and then play Crushing Demise, we can play Little Fade again this turn, which is really nice. So let's do that. Little Fade, Crushing Demise. Great. And then we just have to play a morsel, any morsel. Any morsel will do. We play this morsel up here, we draw Little Fade. Huzzah. Little Fade is back. Little Fade could deal a lot of damage to you, save some health on Lady of the Reformed. And then the Molten Encasement could go in the center. Or at the top. If we put it at the top, it dies from you, which is not a terrible thing. If we put it here, then it gives you stealth, which is kind of nice. So we're putting you here. We have a Shade Splitter. We have a Fatal Melting, which does 6 damage. It actually is really nice to play right now. Even though it has holdover, so we're going to draw it again now that we've played it. It was actually useful that time. Now, where do we want all our morsels? We definitely want a Morsel Jeweler up here. We want a Rebel Morsel here. Okay. We got a Subsuming Blade. We of course got our Little Fade, which can kill this at the bottom. I like that. And it dies, which is perfectly fine. We can play Umbra Stone up here, seems nice. A Making of a Morsel and put a Morsel up here also seems nice. We could play 2 morsels up here, actually. 2 morsels up here. We can play the Primitive Mold to get our Devourer of Death back. And then we can play the Devourer of Death in the center and give you more stealth. Devourer of Death just dies a lot, doesn't he? Poor Devourer of Death. And then what? I want to remove some of the damage that's happening to you. We can do that a variety of ways. Also want to play the Subsuming Blade. Subsuming Blade doesn't quite kill you. But we also have a Fatal Melting. Let's play the Subsuming Blade here. play the Mind Collapse at the top. And then the Fatal Melting, I think, is still kind of nice to play. We could play it in the center. The bottom kills this one, which we don't actually want this turn, so let's put it in the center. Okay, and I actually think we really like how this is going. So, Little Fade has trouble dying at this point, but she can die at the top, which is nice. We'll have you die at the top. We'll play a Rubble Morsel here. The Rubble Morsel might just die. It draws a Making of a Morsel. How about that? Making of a Morsel can go at the top. Yeah. The Primitive Mold gets back the one guy that we keep getting back, and we put him in the center again. A Fatal Melting now kills those, no problem. And a Primitive Mold is useless. Little Fade now has trouble dying to enemy units. So we need to play her where she dies, which is probably the bottom. Ooh, we got Crushing Demise, so we can play Little Fade twice this turn. Play Little Fade. Play Crushing Demise. Play a Rubble Morsel. Play Little Fade. And Little Fade still dies. Great. We've got a Crucible Extension to play at the top. We have a Fatal Melting to play anywhere but the bottom. Could play it at the top to prevent you from hitting a damage shield. Or we could just play the Rubble Morsel in front. Play the Rubble Morsel in front. And then a Fatal Melting should probably go in the center. I do want to keep playing it though. It's going well playing the Fatal Melting every turn actually. So many things to do. Little Fade can go at the bottom and die, as per usual. We can play an Excavated Ember. First, Mind Collapse. Interesting. You're not dying in the back there? How about that? That was unexpected. I mean, it makes some sense, because you've been growing, but you also have 7 sap, and they have a lot of health. So, you know, can't really complain. But it does make me want to play a Fatal Melting at the top, which I guess I will. Now they both die. Shade Splitter. Let's play the Magma Morsel at the top. Not in front. Subsuming Blade does 51 damage these days. Alright, let's kill you with that. And then we have so many things that can deal damage to enemies, and I sort of don't want to deal them damage. I don't want to kill them, I mean. I do want to deal them damage. Like, let's deal damage to the Gilded Wing, instead of getting more Ember and doing those things. Let's play the Hallowed Drippings, though. We have a Making of a Morsel that we can play right here. We don't have a way to kill our own Little Fade, but we might if we do Excavated Ember first. And Excavated Ember. Crushing Demise, we got it. Alright, Little Fade goes at the bottom. We crush Little Fade. Then we play a Morsel, which gives us Little Fade back. So we can crush Little Fade again by having this one kill it. A Fatal Melting can now deal 39 damage somewhere, which could be at the top. I like doing that at the top. Primitive Mold gets back one of 2 things. Rubble Morsel. We'll just play lots of morsels at the top. And the Hallowed Drippings goes here. Okay. Little Fade has a lot of attack now, and it is the Relentless phase, which means we play Little Fade every turn on the floor where Seraph is. And if we can give Little Fade not endless, what is this called? It is called stealth. We can give Little Fade stealth, it's actually really good at this point. So let's play this to give Little Fade stealth. Let's play the Wicklash here. We play the Fatal Melting at the bot, so that this just goes away, and we deal damage to you. Sounds fine to me. We can play the Umbra Morsel here, or here. Actually, Fatal Melting at the top seems really nice. Let's do that instead. And then Umbra Morsel could have you survive longer, which seems not as important as the Umbra Morsel at the top. Shade Splitter gives a Morsel Excavator. I mean, that one actually goes really well here, because that means that you will get Lifesteal for next turn. Now, what do we have? We of course play Little Fade. We don't have a way to get our one guy that we have in here back this time. That's unfortunate, because we wanted it this turn and next turn. But this turn it was going to be useful for the Lady of the Reformed. Yeah, unfortunately, that makes what we did with the Morsel last turn pointless. We could still get it back, though. We still could get away. So I'm going to put a Morsel at the top to see if we can get away. Crucible Extension. You know, still useful. We can play a Fatal Melting to do some damage. I do like doing some damage. Subsuming Blade does some damage, or we could just kill you, but I don't want that. I want to just deal damage. A Fatal Melting just deals damage. Little Fade does damage. If we play a Rubble Morsel in between, because the Rubble Morsel will have damage shield, or we could put it in front, either way. The Rubble Morsel has damage shield, which means you don't kill Little Fade immediately. And then we can play the Old Magic here, and the Mind Collapse on the boss, and we're definitely going to win at the top. No questions at all. We are not winning yet, because we haven't played Little Fade yet. Play Little Fade. Now we're winning. Is there a way that we could get Subsuming Blade, potentially, to get better, if we play a Morsel and draw Subsuming Blade, which we did? Alright, we made Subsuming Blade a little bit better too. Wonderful. Alright, now the big question that I have not answered for myself. Are we going to play... Which floor are we going to play on in the Last Divinity battle? I don't know. And which floor, I mean specifically my big sludge. My big sludge could go in the center. Or we could put it at the top like we have been, but if we put it in the center, it's not bad. And Little Fade can die every turn, no problem in this battle. Let's consider that a good thing. So Big Sludge goes here. Ember Cache we play. The Little Fade could take out one of your damage shields, but if we take it out, then we just get it back. So maybe not. The Lady of the Reformed could go at the bottom. She's gonna die this time. Let's be honest. She's gonna die. Crucible Extension goes here. We could have killed this one with the Mind Collapse before playing Lady of the Reformed, maybe? That would have been better. Oh well. Little Fade is going to take some of the damage here. And of course die, as we want Little Fade to do. Rushing Demise. We could play it at the bottom. Do we want to play a Little Fade first at the bottom before playing a Crushing Demise? Because we're not guaranteed to have Little Fade die. It could just kill the Lady of the Reformed. And then we couldn't play Little Fade in the center guaranteed. Hard choices. I think I will play Little Fade at the bottom, followed by Crushing Demise. Wonderful. It killed both of them. But because Little Fade died, we can play a Rubble Morsel here, get Little Fade back this turn. Play Little Fade in front, where she will die, granted. But then 2 of those dies. I think you get an extra damage shield, which is annoying. We could take away your damage shields with a Fatal Melting. Let's play a Shade Splitter first. We know we're going to do that. We're going to play the Magma Morsel here. Let's play a Fatal Melting somewhere. The bottom removes your spell shields. I'd rather remove the damage shields. I'm going to play Primitive Mold, but I don't know if I play Lady of the Reformed again. Because she's just going to die, and maybe we keep her in the deck so that when we have this one die, we can get it back with the Primitive Molds guaranteed. I think we do that. Don't play Lady of the Reformed again. Unless we feel like we need to. So a Fatal Melting does 12 damage now. It's not great, but it does something. You're dying, which is real bad. We definitely don't want you to die. We've got to prevent that from happening. I was hoping to kill you, but I think we might have the Pyre kill you. Let's play a Morsel first. Are we going to play this Morsel behind or in front? Let's play this Morsel in front. Ooh, we drew the Devourer of Death. Perfect. Perfect. So now we can play this one in the center. And that means that we will give you guys stealth. And we can even play the Umbra Stone in the center. We are going to do that. There we go, now you're taking damage. And then I think we play Little Fade at the top to make sure that this one dies. And then the making of a Morsel, we're just going to put the Morsel Miner here, with all those guys. A Fatal Melting goes at the bottom. I do want to take out your Spell Shield, so that we can kill you next turn with a Fatal Melting, or something else. Do we play the Hallowed Drippings just to play it? I think we do. Just get rid of the Hallowed Drippings. Primitive Mold doesn't do anything, we just click Enter. Alright, so far we're doing pretty well in this battle. Partially that was drawing the Devourer of Death at just the right time, though. Okay, you have a lot of health. We don't like that part. The Wicklash we don't really want to play on much of anything. We could play it on Little Fade. This Mind Collapse kills you now, but doesn't kill you if we play it later than that. So I think we play it now. Mind Collapse kills you. Now we only have 2 Ember, which is unfortunate, but that's the way of it. Do we play a little Fade at the top? If we do, she doesn't die, which we don't like. But then this one doesn't get to the top and do, what, 14 damage? I think we don't care about the 14 damage that much. We would rather have Little Fade go in the center and kill things in the center. We also want the Fatal Melting to be played in the center first. Fatal Melting in the center. Oh, it doesn't kill you because it kills the front one first? That's really annoying. Why doesn't my guy work like that? Where do we play our Rubble Morsel? I don't know. Because the Rubble Morsel basically dies wherever we play it. And we don't want to play it here. So I'm going to play the Rubble Morsel at the top, just to draw a card. Old Magic. It's nice. Old Magic is nice. We have to play the Fatal Melting. I hate that the back one survived. Like, you gave the armor before it hit that one? That doesn't make sense to me. Alright, now everything dies in the center. That's good, at least. Do that to you. We can now play Shade Splitters and Making of a Morsel, and figure out where we're going to play those, if anywhere. If we play them in the center, is that a good plan? I don't know if that's a good plan. Because you're stealth, which is why you're taking only 15 damage. I mean, the only 15 is because you've got trample and they all have spikes. I don't want to play the Immortal Trade yet. Although we could. We could play it now, because the Ember Drain 2 doesn't hurt us that bad. Alright, let's play it now. This is so that you regain your health. What about the morsels? If we play the morsels in the center, they probably just die, but they die wherever we play them. Except for the top. But they'll die a later turn. So I'm going to play them in the center. And hope that one of them doesn't die? They all die. Okay. Well, we were hoping, but we didn't get our hope. Alright, we took some damage, but honestly, that's not so bad. The real question is what's happening here. It's going okay, and we can even kill this one with Subsuming Blade. Huzzah. There we go. Now Little Fade goes in the center, and makes it so that you die. Alright. Fatal Melting goes at the bottom. We're getting more damage out of that every time. We can play the Morsel Jeweler here, which feels good. Lady of the Reformed, we don't play. And do like those morsels. This morsel would die if we play it. I'm gonna keep it in the deck, I think, for right now. The Mind Collapse just does some damage to the back one. Lady of the Reformed, do we play you? You just don't do anything, so no. The answer is no, because you don't do anything. I want my big sledge to have more stealth. We don't get that if we don't reform the one guy. And we don't necessarily reform the one guy. Okay, we can play Old Magic on you, I guess. We play Little Fade in the center. Because we do. Little Fade in the center. We want all those to die. Fatal Melting. I'm gonna play it down here to get rid of the spell shields. Because all it does here is kill this one. And deal some more damage to the Last Divinity. How much does getting rid of the spell shields do for me? Probably not much. I'm gonna actually play the Fatal Melting in the center then. And then play the Mind Collapse down here after we play a morsel. Play a morsel first. We draw an Excavated Ember. Do we want to play that this turn? You know, sure. It gets us close to Crushing Demise, which is very nice. The Primitive Mold, what are we going to get back? A morsel. At least we can eat this morsel. Guaranteed. And then we don't play the other morsel cards. We do play the Mind Collapse to kill you, so that not all of these have spikes. Waves remaining 4. So we did get the Crushing Demise. What I really want to do is play a Fatal Melting to kill this one, and then a Crushing Demise to kill this one. Which is what we're going to do. Fatal Melting, play Little Fade, and then a Crushing Demise. Oh, we got 2 things on top. Which one is on top first? Little Fade, huzzah. I mean, we're going to draw the other one too, actually. But Little Fade is the one that we wanted. Okay, things are going pretty well there. Let's play the Primitive Mold. We got our Devourer of Death. Yes. We want to play that behind Little Fade. Yeah, behind Little Fade, so that Little Fade still dies. And then we can play the Morsel in the back. And then play the Vengeful Shard. Alright. We could play the Wicklash, but I don't see the point. We could play the Hallowed Drippings just to get rid of it. There we go. The Hallowed Drippings did not help us, but at least they consumed themselves. We'll play Crucible Extension. The Little Fade goes at the bottom and dies. Alright. A Fatal Melting goes at the bottom just to get rid of spell shields. Let's put this here first. Primitive Mold. Play it. Get a morsel. That's actually what I wanted. I would be fine getting Devourer of Death, but I actually want to get rid of the morsels right now. Okay, Devourer of Death. We could play it down here. I will do that. Behind Little Fade. That kills a lot more things. And then a Fatal Melting is no longer valuable down there, so let's play it just to deal damage. We could play Immortal Trade. Why have I not played Immortal Trade? Because we didn't need the lifesteal. That's why. But we should probably play it so that we could get it back again. Let's do that. We don't want to play Lady of the Reformed. We do want to play Little Fade and then Crushing Demise again. I like doing this. Let's play this, but we should play a Fatal Melting first. And then a Crushing Demise. Kill Little Fade. Play the Rebel Morsel. Get back Little Fade. Little Fade doesn't die this turn. Does that mean that we put Little Fade behind now? Because the way that the Last Divinity works... Actually, you just have much more attack. So why do we want Little Fade to be behind? I don't know. We could play the Lady of the Reformed now and Whiplash you. And then Mind Collapse just to deal damage to the boss? Or to kill you? Kill you. Okay. I think that we'll have no problem winning, but I'm very interested to see how close we are. We have no problem winning. Let's play the Vengeful Shard. And just to see how this goes, I'm going to play a Rubble Morsel. Okay, so we actually kind of needed it to go basically how it did. And great, we win. Alright, another Expert Challenge down. Only 2 more of those to go, and this one felt like a great victory. A great victory. Also, by the way, I did not try this multiple times for this video. This was my first run. So if Expert Challenges counted, I would have a Herzl Cup of 2 right now, but they don't. I would have had a Herzl Cup of much more than 2 if they did. I would have had like a 4 or something. Ooh, no records. Interesting. And no mastered cards for that matter. We had mastered all of the Melting and Umbra, so I was just going for the very few event cards that we had to master. And we just saw none of them, even though we went to many of the events. Alright, well, that's it for this time. Next time we'll do the next Expert Challenge, which is 1 of 2 remaining. As of this run, I have a max Covenant rank win with every clan combination, with Melting Remnant as the primary clan. 3 combinations to go. I also won my 23rd Expert Challenge, leaving 2 remaining. Unfortunately, I again did not master any new cards, still 7 left. On the left, I simply feature my big minion, Big Sludge. This was a great run to show off some of his capabilities. He works very well with Little Fade. Also, Devourer of Death reaches my 10 battle threshold. He never really exploded for much damage, but he regularly dealt 20, which is something. For artifacts, I am featuring an obvious but good combo. Abandoned Ant Umbra gives you a morsel every turn, and Mask of Penumbra draws a card after you play that morsel. Straightforward and very helpful. Check out my tracking sheet for more stats. There's a link in the video description. New episodes every Saturday for at least a little longer, and thanks for watching.